Ah, bowling. One of the only sports where you can play while sipping on a cold alcoholic beverage, eating some greasy garbage food, and smoking cigarettes all at the same time. Well, maybe this isn't something you can do on a professional level, and maybe not something you can do for the past 20 years. But regardless, I'm a man who enjoys a little bit of bowling. I even had a chance to play for 2 years during my PE class when I was in high school, so basically, I'm an expert. Nah, no, not really. I'm just kind of a casual fan. But, when it comes to bowling video games, this genre has been pretty lacking over the last few years. Aside from Wii Sports Bowling and the subsequent releases there, Wii Sports Resort, and Wii Sports Club on the Wii U, there really haven't been a whole lot of bowling games, let alone licensed bowling titles out there in the wild. Well, for all of you PBA diehards out there, you needn't wait any longer. PBA Pro Bowling is available now on all major platforms and aims to bring a mix of simulation and arcade action to gamers needing a bowling fix. And they do this to varying degrees of success. Danny from the Famicast here, and this is my review of PBA Pro Bowling on the Nintendo Switch. There are a handful of modes on offer here: quick play, career mode, local multiplayer, and online tournaments. There's even a pro shop where you can use in-game earned currency to unlock additional things like bowling balls, bowlers, lanes, and more. Playing through the career mode is probably where you're going to be spending most of your time here. The more you play and the deeper you get, the more rewards you receive to spend in the shop. And there are quite a few things to unlock there too. Just take a look at this. Controls in PBA bowling come in two flavors, so using a Pro Controller, Joy-Con grip, or playing the system in handheld mode, basically you have the ability to adjust where your bowler stands using the joystick, basically to start where they're going to start their approach. And then if you press the L button or R button, you can choose basically what angle you want to take for the ball. So moving the joystick back begins your approach, while releasing it forward initiates the release. Now, while the ball is on the lane, you also have the ability to control the amount of spin that you put on the ball by moving the joystick to the left or right. It's pretty intuitive, and I found myself getting used to the controls pretty quickly. Motion controls here are a completely different story. So using a Joy-Con, the game prompts you to hold the ZR trigger and swing the controller in an upwards motion and then release the button to release the ball. Now, if you played Wii Bowling or any of that stuff, it was a pretty straightforward system, but this is just weird because you're not actually bringing the Joy-Con back, you're just flinging it forward. And you would think that, like with Wii Bowling in 2006, maybe they could have implemented some kind of motion tracking or something in the controller using the gyro or whatever, so you can, control your spin by just based on how you're doing your release with your hand, but that is not the case here. You still actually have to use the stick after the release to control the spin on the ball. Honestly, I also had a heck of a time actually getting this to work properly and just kind of gave up on this control option pretty quickly. Now, one thing to note here, PBA Pro Bowling can be played in either simulation or arcade mode. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, what the heck is the difference between the two? Well, arcade mode basically gives players the ability to use special bowling balls at any time during a game. So there are 3 different balls that you can use. Now, the lightning ball has this force field around it, causing it to kind of knock down more pins than a normal ball would. The split ball, pretty self-explanatory here. It basically helps you pick up spares that would otherwise be nearly impossible to pick up. So after you release, at a certain point when the ball is going down the lane, you press the A button and the ball literally splits in two and kind of fans out towards the gutters. So it's all about timing with that too. You can miss. And the last one that they have here is called the bomb ball, and well, it's basically an automatic strike as long as you hit the pins. You roll it down there, and as soon as it hits the pins, it blows up. One thing to keep in mind here too, you can't use these at will, as there are some cooldown times between usage, so you can't just spam these. I'm usually a fan of realism in my sports titles, but I will say that some of these were welcome additions when I found myself screwed because I was just an idiot or just suck at the game, but sometimes these balls really did actually help out. When you're actually playing the games themselves in single player, you're typically going to be either playing through qualifiers or some kind of exhibition matches all by yourself. But you can actually go head-to-head with other professional bowlers too, and you will be able to see these bowlers on the screen bowling. Games here are also generally over pretty quickly too. However, the load times between frames does seem a little bit long. I mean, it's not awful, but you kind of notice it a little bit. Online tournaments here are also a pretty welcome addition. And how this works is there are basically numerous tournaments that are going on throughout the day that you can buy into with some of your in-game cash, and then if you get the highest score there, you'll be able to basically take home the prize. The presentation in PBA Pro Bowling is awesome. The visuals here are believable. They're realistic renditions of the locations, bowling balls, pins, lanes, and even the broadcast camera angles and transitions between frames really offer a TV-like experience. And everything from the physics of the ball and the pins, all of this stuff, all of this seems pretty spot on to me. And when it comes to the in-game athletes that you see rendered on the screen, the game engine does a decent enough job to bring these real bowlers to life. Animations use the actual bowlers' releases, corks and all. So some of these guys have really weird releases, and you can see that. I did notice that there are a couple of issues with clipping. Like sometimes you might see some of the bowlers' arms kind of clip through parts of their bodies or something, but nothing like too crazy. It's not a huge deal. The spectators in the crowd are also kind of a bit of a blurry mess and really low poly, but again, this isn't a huge deal, but it's something that you're going to notice. Now, similar to the visual presentation of the game, the audio department also goes for a pretty realistic approach here, and they actually offer some commentary from real PBA commentators during your games. And the idea here is solid, but after a few matches, you'll kind of find yourself quickly listening to the same jokes and comments over and over again. I will say that there are times whenever these guys can actually give you some good advice at picking up spares and stuff, and that's pretty cool, but again, it's just, there's really not a whole lot going on with the commentary. Now, despite generally enjoying this game, I do have some gripes with this game. So, this game is in desperate need of a practice mode. Now, with all the lanes and oil patterns and bowling balls and all this stuff, it would have been nice to be able to practice before getting into competitions. More on that here in just a little bit. But speaking of competitions, the difficulty here is also all over the place. So early on in career mode, I found myself matched up against some pro bowler who really kicked my ass. And it was like in the second or third tournament. Now, the good thing about this, you can keep replaying these and that's fine, but the next time I replayed him, I ended up just defeating him so handily that, I don't know, it was just really weird. He had tons of open frames, missed easy shots. It was just really odd. There was just no difficulty curve at all. So some bowlers would be great and have great games, or they'd just be horrible. It's just really random. Now, another thing here that I thought was a really big missed opportunity is there is no option to create your own bowler in the career mode. So, I mean, while the default white guy with brown hair represents me perfectly fine, I'm sure there are a lot of others out there that would have liked to see something more than this. I mean, you can actually choose a female to play as if you like, but other than that, there's really not much you can do. Although PBA Pro Bowling on the Switch is generally easy to pick up and play, there were some times where the game would just really frustrate me. So, in an effort to keep the realism train going here, the game, much like real-life bowling, offers different kinds of lanes to get your roll on, and all these different oil patterns and stuff like this. So, and I really didn't understand what this meant until I read some of the stuff in the help section, but I mean, and also just some articles online, but for professional bowlers, it's my understanding that this helps keep them on their toes so that they have to adjust to varying conditions depending on where they play. So, I mean, I still kind of don't understand it, but basically, you know, the oil pattern's a little bit different, so they have to change it up. But I think for more casual bowlers or players of a video game like myself, I kind of just want to bowl and not worry about this kind of minutia. It would have been fine if this was kind of relegated to just simulation mode, but this is also found in the arcade mode. I guess one plus is that you can actually turn on the oil in the options while you're playing a game, so you can see like kind of like the oil levels and stuff, but still, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be too helpful for a lot of people if they don't go digging into the help section to see what the heck that actually means. 93% conversion rate on the PBA bowling on the Switch is pretty faithful to the sport of professional bowling. Sometimes a bit too much. Now, on the plus side, the game is pretty easy to pick up and play for most. Well, at least with the standard gamepad control scheme. For me, the game falls apart with some of the attention to detail being just a bit too realistic, even while playing the game in arcade mode. You know, even though I really did enjoy this game quite a bit, a lot of little things just get in the way of making this an absolute must-own game. Final score for PBA Pro Bowling on the Nintendo Switch, 6 out of 10. As always, thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We've got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.